It's a new year. Do you want to be a whole new runner? In this video, I want to talk about 3 of the biggest levers that you can pull in your training so that you can have a breakthrough this year and become the runner that you know you can be. Now, I've been running for so long and coaching for about 13 years now that I've discovered that there really are only a few big fundamental things you can do in your training to really force a big breakthrough performance or big level up in performance. So what I want to do in this video is not focus on the minutia. I want to focus on what actually works so that you can go on becoming a better runner. Now, one of the biggest levers that you can pull in your training is the lever of consistency. I've long said that there are no magic workouts or hidden secrets to becoming a better runner, but if there were, it would be the magic of consistency. You can't become a better runner if you're not consistent, if you're not consistently putting in the work week after week and month after month. And I found that most runners love running. Most runners want to train, but the problem that we find ourselves in is that we get hurt. We end up with some type of repetitive stress injury, like Achilles tendinopathy, plantar fasciitis, IT band syndrome, runner's knee, shin splints. I mean, the list goes on of different types of running injuries that we unfortunately get all the time. The annual injury rate for runners is like 50 to 75%, depending on the study that you're looking at. That means a majority of runners are going to experience a major injury this year. So there are several things that we can do to make sure you stay healthy. Number one, let's ensure we are training appropriately with solid progressions of our long run, of our workouts, and of our overall mileage. No big jumps in intensity or volume. That is going to be our frontline defense against injuries. And the second thing that we can do is add in some strength training to our programming. If you're not already sandwiching your runs between a dynamic warm-up and a post-run series of core or strength exercises, now's the time. Let's start so that we can start building in all that athleticism and coordination and strength that's going to help keep us healthy. Okay, strategy number 2 to keep you running strong in the new year is to really focus on a consistent long run. I'm sometimes amazed that a lot more runners don't just do a really good double-digit long run pretty much every week, because the long run is arguably the most effective workout for distance runners. That's not an actual faster workout. This is the run that builds the most endurance, and I've found that most runners' biggest limiting factor is their endurance, because most of us are not as consistent as we should be, and most of us just don't have decades of really consistent running at high mileage levels, so that we're not building the aerobic metabolism for years and years and years. That's what it takes to really glimpse your potential. It takes a long time. Running is definitely a long-term sport. So let's get in the habit of doing a good long run. Even if you're training for a half marathon, there's no reason why we can't safely build your long run to 15 to 18 miles. Or if you're doing a marathon, let's make sure that at the beginning of your marathon plan, so maybe 16 to 20 weeks out from the race, you're comfortable doing a 10 to 12 mile long run. That way, we won't have to spend the entire season building your long run. We'll get more time at those longer distances. You're gonna get into better shape, and you're definitely going to run a faster race. So the long run is what I consider the most important run for most runners during the week. Let's make it a habit, let's make it consistent, and if you can do that, your races, your mileage levels, and the rest of your training is all gonna start to feel really easy, because that run, after a month or 2 of consistency, is gonna build some real endurance.
You know, I'm not that big into supplements, but I do love AG1 by Athletic Greens. I consider it my nutrition insurance, helping me cover all my bases so I know I'm not missing out on anything my body needs, especially when I'm training really hard. I try to eat really well, but of course, AG1 is that extra security that gives me peace of mind over my diet. 1 scoop per day, and I'm getting 75 vitamins and minerals, prebiotics, probiotics, antioxidants, and adaptogens. You can try it out too at athleticgreens.com/Jason, and they're going to throw in a free year's worth supply of vitamin D and 5 free travel packs. Check it out at athleticgreens.com/Jason.
Our final big picture thing to focus on in the new year is to start a real weightlifting habit. This is arguably such a game changer for so many runners, especially if you're over 40, especially if you're a guy like me. I just turned 40 a couple months ago, and you know what? I'm now getting into the gym. I'm taking some of my own medicine. I am practicing what I preach, and I'm weightlifting twice a week. I'm struggling a little bit right now because a lot of my runs are now just very slow because I feel heavy, I'm pretty sore, I just feel kind of tight from lifting a lot, but I know that's only gonna last a couple weeks. This is the hump that I have to get over. I have to establish this weightlifting consistency because now that I'm 40, my testosterone is going down, it's harder for me to build muscle, and that's true for everyone after 40. And if we want to build running economy, strength, power, and durability into our training, lifting weights is the best way to do that. So if you're not already in the gym, if you're not already weightlifting at least twice a week, I think is the golden number for most runners, now's your wake-up call. This is what I think is a huge game changer for runners. I interviewed a runner named Tom on the Strength Running podcast, and this is a guy who's well into his 40s, and he just ran a 2:37 marathon. A couple years ago, he was running marathons in the 2:50s, and he credits a big reason for this breakthrough, the consistent weightlifting that then made him a lot stronger, made him a lot durable, allowed him to run a lot more weekly mileage, get in more consistent workouts. And the next thing you know, he is more than 15 minutes faster in the marathon. Weightlifting can be an enormous game changer for runners, especially if you're a blank slate, especially if you haven't done much strength training. So if you want to become the best runner you can be and you're not lifting weights, I think there's a lot of improvement that's still being left on the table. Let's start lifting weights, whether you do it in a home gym or you get a gym membership. If you want to learn more about the types of weightlifting that's really beneficial for runners, including the big mistakes to avoid, example exercises, and more, go to strengthrunning.com/strength. You can sign up for our free series, and I'll send you an email a day talking about the big picture principles that are going to help you with your next running breakthrough. All right, I'm back in the car. It was a little cold out there. So as you're planning your new year, I hope this video is helpful just as you plan out some of the big picture items that are really going to contribute to you becoming a much better runner. And I know we could sit here and talk about compression sleeves and supplements and all these things, but those are great and they're the icing on the cake. Let's first build the cake. That is the foundation upon which all the other nice to haves, all the extras really rest upon. So let's focus on consistency by preventing injuries. Let's really make sure we're doing a good long run and we're strength training. If we can do those things, we are probably going to have a breakthrough in 2024. So I hope this was helpful for you. Why don't you send this to a running friend of yours and commit to these 3 things so that you can really take your running to the next level this year.